I got cancer, bone cancer, and I got another style of cancer, but for some reason, God just graced me not to have fear, not to worry about it, not to think about, well, what's going to come of this and all that. So as a result, I can joke about it.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandkids, they're kind of sit back and are amazed that I can laugh and joke and stuff like that. And not because if I was carrying on with a pity party, I would be dragging them down. I would be dragging my wife down. And there's just a lot of peace.
I am a man of honor, integrity, and promise. I pursue all righteousness. I love my family. I will not put my family in harm's way. There is nothing that will keep me from doing the right thing. I am an ambassador of hope and a man of discipline. I am a man worth following. I am a TYRO.
Welcome to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Tijerina.
And I'm Cathy Tijerina.
And today we have a wonderful, wonderful guest with us, a dear friend of ours who has been with the Ridge Project, the TYRO program, from the beginning.
Actually helped establish the very beginning of the Ridge Project. And so he's not only a dear friend, but he's been a mentor. He's poured into our lives, provide a lot of guidance. And so we are beyond thrilled to welcome you here today, Denny Wisniewski.
And for those of you who don't know, this is the year that we are celebrating 25 years of our anniversary of the Ridge Project. And Denny was part of that beginning. And so we are so grateful to have you here today, Dennis, with us. And we're looking forward to a great conversation with you today.
Well, man, I appreciate you inviting me to this because I was privileged to be part of the beginning of this organization, and now to see where it was. We were in a basement, dimly lit, in Cathy's house there in Holgate.
Now, I was in prison.
Yeah, and Ron's in prison. Cathy is a single mom. And there we were with Mary Mueller and Jack Moss and Pastor Don Barnett. And there we were in that, I called it a dark basement.
A dungeon.
Like a dungeon, it was.
The lighting wasn't very good. And so we started talking and that, and we saw Cathy's vision on the youth to redirect them, to give them visions of getting off of their kind of lifestyle. And I'm sitting there going, hey, I can do this. I says, I'm thinking this is going to be a local program, and and it may last a while. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but that's what I was. That was in my head. And then, there's no way without making a movie as to where this now is. It is now from a dim basement to an international program that just has myriads of projects that are out there for one reason, and that is to help people, help families, and help youth.
Yeah, it is. It really is miraculous. Until today, when we were talking before we got started with the show and you were remembering that basement, I said, oh my goodness, like what a throwback. It really was very humble beginnings. And you know what, really, Denny, I was probably right there with you thinking, you know what, if I could just impact a few lives, we can start a program and then, make some connections and at least do this in the meantime until whatever other door opens. And then just watching the doors open over time and it build into this. I had no idea. I was with you. I had no idea.
Well, it amazed me too because I see I heard your vision, and then the three kids showed up for the first meeting, and I'm going,
Three kids.
Yeah. If it was me, I think I would have probably pulled the plug on that because, I just know me. But you had that vision from God, and I was just there to throw in my 2 cents on stuff.
Well, your 2 cents multiplied. I would tell you that much. It multiplied and helped really begin something none of us saw coming. Yes, I was incarcerated in prison while my job was just to become the CEO of the family while Cathy's living, and that's chief encouraging officer. Right, that's my job. I'm just rooting her on. You can do this, and to see what transpired because of not only your 2 cents, but your leadership that you brought to the board and helping to establish with Mary Mueller and everybody else the bylaws and the foundation of what does this look like as an organization where it could stand the test of time
and grow.
Well, when it started rolling. And more kids started showing up because of word of mouth and such, and you fought your way into the schools, literally, to try to get the leaders in the school, the principals and the superintendents to allow you to get in those schools and bring the kids out. When I started seeing all that happening, I wanted to get more involved. That's why I went to visit Ron in the prisons to see what's going on there. And then the one area I'll never forget is when the TYRO program got started. I went with Ron to Dayton, I believe.
Dayton Correctional.
Yes, when it was the men.
And I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea. And then all of a sudden, a stream of guys in white jumpsuits and such started going through the doors, coming, and I could see guys with tattoos covering almost their whole face, and I didn't know I don't know, maybe they came out just to get out. But there was probably 300 of them there.
When we did the presentation.
And in 10 minutes, Ron had those 300 guys in the palm of his hand, simply because of his experience in prison. He was talking about things that they could identify with right away, and boy, they were right there. And then after the presentations were given, these guys just streamed out of the stands to come down and talk to him. And that really then showed me the possibilities of what TYRO can do in these prisons with the families, with the kids. It amazed me.
Well, I appreciate that. That was a long time ago.
Yes, it was.
I've been home now 18 years.
Is that crazy?
18 years last September. And I tell you what, life has been amazing. Cathy and I have been married 39. Is that right? 38 years.
Yeah.
But Dennis, you have a story to tell. You've gone through a lot of stuff and been strong and been an example of what it means to be resilient.
What it means to be a leader in your home, your community, your workplace, your church. And which was one of the reasons I really wanted you on the board. It was like, where I'm showing up at church and I'm watching how you're leading by example, how you speak to other people, how you address the kids. It's like, it wasn't that you were, I don't have time for those kids. And it wasn't, you weren't dismissive of them, but you also weren't the other side of just being totally tolerant and just letting them do whatever they wanted. You would be like, hey, now, this is the right thing. Pick up the trash, put it in there. And they would do it and be like, oh, sorry, Wiz. And you just kind of laugh and pat them on the back and say, that's the right thing to do. And it's like, that's exactly what these kids need, is somebody that, holds them accountable, but also respects them. And I saw that in you. So I want you to, could you share a little bit about like your life experience? Like what did you do for a living and why did you do it?
I was just going to say, a lot of that came from working with kids for 30 years. Mm-hmm. I was a high school English teacher, the guy's favorite course to take. And I did well with them. I got along with them pretty well. And I had some rough customers, but I didn't treat them rough back. I just kind of set the foot down and says, here's the line, no farther.
Yeah.
And so, I enjoyed the kids. I coached. That got me closer to a lot of them when you're coaching them. So that was a good trip as well. So I was kind of suited for that kind of stuff.
But
I knew I wanted to be a high school teacher when I was a sophomore in high school.
Wow.
Because you're pretty extroverted, but you're pretty out there. You put yourself out there, and I really love that about you.
Yeah.
So being a high school teacher, putting yourself out there, I love what you said. They were your customers.
Yeah.
When we talk about business, we want to treat our customers, we want them to come back,
Yeah.
right?
Right. We want to positively influence them.
And so after high school and you did that, what happened?
A year before I retired, I knew I could not just get up in the morning and go, what am I going to do today? I couldn't do that. I'd probably, like a lot of guys, I'd probably be dead in a year.
Right. You needed something.
So my last year of teaching, I started a video production company.
Okay.
And that was interesting too. But I want to tell you guys, a lot of your perseverance in what you were doing at that time and not giving up and knocking on doors and talking to people, and that had a lot to me to stay with it, because expense-wise with the equipment and getting jobs and all of that was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard, and it started off slow at first, but eventually picked up. But I knew, because of what you guys would not give into, I said, I'm not going to give into. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy putting imagery and music together, and so I use that for 20-some years. So,
wow. So we were able to inspire you to keep going. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
wow.
absolutely.
Wow.
Had no idea, because we're looking at you.
Oh my goodness! Look at what I saw for those, I believe, 14 years that I was on the board.
Yeah.
And how you went after grants.
Yeah.
And I think one of them was a $2 million grant, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And which allowed open doors all over the place. And so, I wasn't going to give up.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful.
That's awesome.
And listen, the only reason I didn't give up, or I did finally give up after 20-some years, is I had to upgrade. And I just could not cough out $20,000 for all the new equipment, the high definition stuff. And
well, I tell you what, you influenced our sons. Watching you doing your videography and talking to Blake and Brandon, they always mention Denny Wisniewski, right? And the lessons that you helped empower them on how to do videography, how to run that equipment, how to film, and what to look for, and how to angle and stuff like that. So I thank you for the influence you brought to our sons,
right?
Because you played a great role in their upbringing. What does a man of honor look like? What does a man of good character look like? And they could point to you and see you, and where in my absence, you occupied that space, whether you knew it or not.
Right.
And so I thank you for that.
And modeling healthy relationship. I loved watching you and Sharon. It was so funny because here we have Denny, who is just like out there, right? And then you have demure, reserved, elegant, almost royally.
Almost like a first lady, right?
Like a first lady, Sharon.
Yeah.
And so it was just but what I learned from Sharon is, it's not my job to control my husband, So Denny would be out there.
So you're still learning that?
Yeah, I'm still learning that. Yeah.
Okay.
And so Sharon would just, and sometimes I would just watch her kind of close her eyes and then open them back up, and she'd have this little smile, like, oh, of course, and it was so heartwarming. So tell us about your relationship with Sharon. Tell us, how do you navigate life together?
Yeah, how long?
Yeah.
59 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And you're right. I'm out there. I'm going to say what I need to say and all that. And
we love that about you.
She's more of the correct protocol.
Yeah.
Even though you don't want to say this is what you should say. And I'm going, heck no, I'm not doing that. And then, like if I had to give a little talk or a speech at an athletic banquet or something like that, I was gifted with being able to prepare in my head. Yeah. I didn't write anything down. On my napkin, I would write about 4 lead words down, and that's all. And she says, "Are you ready for this?" I go, "Yeah," and I pointed it. And if I ever wanted to really freak her out, if we were in a crowd or I was teaching a Bible study or something, if I wanted to really freak her out, I'd say, and what do you have to say about that,
Sharon? That's awesome.
Yeah.
We all start somewhere, with questions, doubts, and the unknown. But growth begins when you take that first step, when you seek the right guidance. Through insights, self-reflection, and real-world experience, you will build the skills necessary to become someone worth following. It's about overcoming your past and embracing the person you're destined to become. Growth begins with you. Empower your future with TYRO.
59 years. So children, grandkids, what do we got there?
Yeah, I've got my 2 boys, and they're all doing well. They're all God people.
Yeah.
One's a pharmaceutical rep in Indianapolis. The other one is a engineer at Allied Molded in Bryan.
Wow, wonderful.
And they're godly men. Their whole families are godly. Their kids are. And I don't have any. Do I have any? I don't have any grandkids yet, or great grandkids.
Yeah.
Wow. And so you have 6 grandkids?
Yeah. 2 boys and a girl in each family.
Wow.
Nice.
That's awesome.
They're all doing pretty well.
Yeah. Yep. It's a new world, isn't it, to watch your grandkids grow up and survive the world. So okay, so I'm going to just get more, like as my daughter would say, give me the tea, which means tell me the everything. So I know in 59 years, you and Sharon could not have always agreed, right?
Oh, no.
Knowing your differences in personality. So look, how do you navigate through conflict? Because you guys are thriving. You have a very solid, remarkable relationship. So how do you navigate through conflict?
I learned over a few years that it takes 2 to create a conflict. Much to her chagrin, if something comes up like that, I go silent, and I'm not nasty about it or anything like that. I just say, well, let's put this aside for a while, and then and if it was something that we could put aside, but other than that, I would give my 2 cents in the thing, and either it would. Usually it came to an end because it came to an end. I don't think anybody. Yeah, I don't think we walked around thinking, "Well, I won that one." No.
Right.
You heard that, honey?
Yeah, that's right. No, yeah, there's 2 winners in this.
That's right. It's a win-win.
But other than that, and the older we got and the longer we got married, we're tight.
Yeah, you are.
You are,
Yeah.
and you find out as we get older, mostly 99% of whatever the issue might be is petty.
Yeah. Absolutely.
99%. It doesn't matter because what's more important is at the end of the day we're together, right? And that's what brings value for me and my relationship. You know what? At the end of today, we're still going to be together, whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's not worth carrying to the next.
Most of our conflicts were, I guess I call it philosophical.
Okay.
If you came to my house and looked at my DVR list, you right now you would be able to pick out my programs that I DVR and her program.
Oh, I'm sure.
And hers dominate. 2 weeks ago, I had to remind her because when Christmas comes around, we get all these Hallmark.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course, yes.
I said, hey, we're only down to about 15% of our
storage.
Yeah, I think you got to take it easy a little bit.
I love
That's
Sharon.
funny.
I love
Well,
Sharon.
my programs are Gunsmoke and adventure stories.
Oh,
and
nice.
So
Classic TV.
Josh, I forgot his last name, runs all these. He goes all over the world doing adventurous stuff. But anyhow,
That's
well,
awesome.
speaking of adventure, I know that one of your big loves has been across your life scuba.
Oh,
Right.
65 years.
65 years of scuba
that's
diving.
great. I'm glad you brought that up because my question was about listen, I don't know if you guys really understand scuba diving, but this is a master scuba diver.
Mm-hmm.
And so what got you wanted to tell you, let me put on this big canister.
Oh,
let me put on this, whatever there's a
and
car
to
you
me,
bring down.
I'm just like,
and
I feel
jump
like,
in the ocean and swim with the fishes.
And explore the world.
Yeah. That's another world, by
I
the
was
way.
9 years old.
Wow.
I couldn't obviously start diving then, and I don't think that you could buy the equipment anyhow. And I saw a movie called Beneath the 12-Mile Reef.
Oh, okay.
That was Robert Wagner's first starring role.
Wow.
They were sponge divers. And there was a lot of underwater cinematography. Compared to today, it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't use filters back then.
Yeah.
But when my 9-year-old mind saw the underwater world, it just did something to it.
Fell in love with it.
I couldn't dive, but I just then did a bunch of reading. I read everything about underwater world, the fish life, and I just go. Then when I was 14, I went to a hardware store of all places and bought my first tank and wetsuit and regulator.
Really?
Wow. And that's a hardware store. That's unheard of today.
But who did you know?
To give you lessons on how to jump in the water and hold your breath.
My
whatever.
reading.
Oh.
What?
Oh,
I
Denny.
am technically
Your poor mother.
Technically, after 65 years of diving, I am not technically certified.
What?
I never took lessons.
Wow.
Wow.
A friend of mine that I was helping out with his classes, he was an instructor, when they started requiring divers to show their C cards, then he just sent my name in with a class, and I got a C card in 1975.
1975.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah, it was. So anyhow, yeah, I've been all over the world.
Yeah.
I belong to the Williams County Sheriff's Department underwater rescue. They're not rescue. We never rescued anybody.
Yeah.
Search and recovery.
Search and recovery.
I was on that for 52 years.
Wow. Oh my.
Boy, do I got stories on that.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Oh,
my goodness.
Yeah, that was. So then, recently here, I'm 81, almost 82, and recently here, my body just is not taking it anymore. So
when was your last dive?
My last dive was in October of 2022. That was my last
And how
dive.
old were you?
80.
Oh my
80 years old.
That's insane.
So did you go?
To me.
Did you dive in the quarry or did you dive in the
Yeah,
ocean?
I did a lot around
Wow.
here. There's a quarry in Ottawa, Ohio, that is an excellent quarry.
Wow.
But that's where I did a lot of diving. But other than that,
That's incredible.
Wow.
some of the things I've seen, I know God. He said God saved His creativity
Wow.
for under the water.
Oh man, can't imagine what's under there. What you've seen,
Oh,
other than what we see on TV or YouTube or something.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, after we're done here, I'll give you my YouTube channel.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
absolutely.
Oh, nice.
And
Yeah,
you'll
I'd love
see
to
some
see.
of the stuff
Oh.
because I continued shooting recreationally with a GoPro.
Okay.
Oh,
and,
wow.
and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just
Well,
to
looking
document.
forward to seeing that.
So, did any of your kids or grandkids, anybody catch the bug, or that was just you?
My one son, Justin,
Mhm.
didn't catch the bug like mine,
Yeah.
but he's been on several trips with me, and he
Ah.
has. We did a lot of diving together, but he's
That's
purely a tropical diver. He is not a cold water
Oh.
diver.
That's
At
funny.
Great Lakes or quarries or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. That's awesome. So, if you think about maybe just like one thing that you feel like diving and dedicating so much of your learning towards that in early years, what would be one lesson you learned out of that applied to every area of your life?
You can be successful even under some adverse things. Some of the adverse stuff that comes into diving, like cold, even though I'm wearing a dry suit and I'm diving in 40-degree water, you get a little uncomfortable. But for me, what I was diving on took much more precedent over how I felt.
Oh, wow.
And also I knew I was going to, I wasn't going to be there forever. But
Wow.
Wow.
yeah, that and
So let me stop right there. So no matter what type of adversity you're facing, you can tell yourself, this is not forever.
no,
And it's worth this
yeah.
to accomplish
That's my whole
goal.
philosophy now with some of the issues I'm going through.
Well, yeah, right. This is worth going through to get to the other side.
Yeah, it's if I'm in a bad situation or one that's not great, and my wife as well, she went through some open heart surgery and stuff, but we just kept in mind that you keep your mind in the eternal. That no matter what you're going through here, it's not going to last.
Yeah.
Even if God decides to bring you home, then you step into a world that is beyond what you can even imagine. So
that's part of the messages that we want to convey to our customers, right? Yeah. Like you said that, and is what is taking place in your life, whether it's incarceration, poverty, divorce, addiction, it's just an event in your life, not a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's temporary.
It's
and
temporary.
You don't turn it into a pity party.
No, right.
Because all that does is make you and anybody around you miserable.
Yeah.
I'm not bragging because I can only do that through the grace of God. He's given me that. And my kids and my grandkids they're just kind of amazed that
your resilience.
Even though I have things going on.
Yeah.
That they, your audience is going to wonder, what is all that?
Well, if are you okay? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, well, it's I got cancer, bone cancer, and I got another style of cancer, but for some reason, God just graced me not to have fear, not to worry about it, not to think about, well, what's going to come of this and all that. So as a result, I can joke about it, and my grandkids, they're kind of sit back and are amazed that I can laugh and joke and stuff like that, and not because if I was carrying on with a pity party, I would be dragging them down. I would be dragging my wife down, and there's just a lot of peace.
Yeah,
and in that.
So you made a conscious decision. I'm going to live to
live well,
the abundant life.
Yeah,
not allowing the enemy to come, steal, and destroy, but live that abundant life that's been promised to us, no matter what.
Wow.
Yeah,
well, I have awesome. one more area of your life, just from an observer of the years that we went to church together, the years that you helped lead well the Ridge Project, and watching your marriage. So we watched you be a dad. And so as a father, like even as your kids grew up and got married and had kids, you were still functioning as a role model and as a father to say, leading well. And so I can tell that you were intentional. And from discussions and things at church that you talked about, and also at the Ridge Project, and the way that you spoke to the youth. So why is being a good dad? Why was that important to you? And what were some things that helped you be that?
That's your legacy. I mean, you want your kids to do well, and they don't come with a manual. And
I wish.
Yeah, and there's nothing that they can read that says, here's what you do to be successful. So they've got to have some kind of an example set in front of them and some kind of lessons to be taken from experiences. They need that. And how they turn out is going to be I don't care about the reflection aspect of it, but their lives, that's the important part of how they're going to go through their lives. And a lot of it is based on what you presented them, what you use as an example for them, and that kind of stuff. And of course, that's what you guys are doing in your prison ministry with TYRO and the young kids. I mean,
Dennis, I remember when I first met you. One of the first experiences I had with you is you picked me up in your Prius.
Which one? I had about 5 of them.
Yeah, I think it was your first one.
Yeah,
And I looked at that and I didn't know what I didn't understand what you had, 55 miles a gallon and all that. And still, I still wanted my big car, but I appreciate what you taught me, the value of what it is you have, and appreciate, and I remember you getting a scooter, right? Yeah. And driving that around and watching you just say, look at this, really living life to its fullest and embracing, been to your home, We've had dinner many times with you and Sharon, and just enjoying your pond back there, and people
my
getting
kids got baptized in your pond.
People baptized. Somebody here was talking about that when they were young, got baptized in your pond, and just how you've opened your heart, your family, your home to anybody and everybody. Yeah. And I really appreciate that about you and your family. Not keeping it to yourself, but sharing the blessings that have been bestowed upon you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, we've had a lot of baptism. When I had that pond dug, I prayed for two things: use it for you, and keep it so no one is hurt.
Yes.
Or that, and he's been very true. Wow. So there's been a lot of people baptized in that pond. From church, we'd have our church picnics out there.
Yep.
Yeah, that was all right.
Yeah, that is awesome. Well, our time is coming to a close, and so I'm going to ask you, Denny, to think about one or two things that you would want to leave with the audience, the men and women across the country that are, incarcerated and separated from their families and trying to establish a new foundation for their lives. So if you could give them one or two pieces of advice, what would it be? And if you would just look
all
into
right.
the camera.
Again, learning from you guys and me actually taking the initiative to visit the prisons and see what's going on there and firsthand, not movies and that kind of. I just learned that these people that are incarcerated are human beings. They've made some mistakes in their life, but if somebody can point those mistakes out to them, and if somebody can point them out to those that are incarcerated and take them in and love them and put them into various kinds of programs, which there are, so many in the way of how to live life. And you would take advantage of it because it's always your choice. I always say, give it a try. If you don't like it, you can go back to the other way you wanted. And, start looking at your families. If you're incarcerated and your families are on the outside, start looking at them. Focus on what they're going through, that you're inside and they're outside. What do we call that? The spiritual widow? What was the other widow?
Social widow.
Social widows, all right? Where the husband is in and you're out. And the guys that are in need to start putting more attention onto who they are, who their wives are, and their kids, and what they're going through. And I think if you can change your view on that, that'll go a long way into how you treat them, how you talk to them, and how you relate. Relationship with that is very important.
Thank you, Denny.
Thank you, Denny.
Thank
Good
you,
word.
Denny. Yeah.
Good word. Well, our show has come to a close, and
all
so
right.
I want to thank you really for taking the time.
Thank you, Denny.
My pleasure.
Here. It's a joy to spend time with you, as always.
My name is Dennis Wisniewski, and I'm a TYRO.
So listen, thank you so much for allowing us to be part of your journey and your story. And until next time, always remember that we are rooting for you.